All right, Tuesday night. Welcome to the Krug Show. Raj is in the house. That's right. We're getting rolling. We're going to talk a little Niners. JJ, Jauan Jennings, pay me or trade me. What's it going to be? We'll talk about it right now. Coming up on the Krug Show. Of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Join us. Come aboard. Let's go. All right, we're off and running on the Krug Show on a Tuesday night. Hope everybody's having a fantastic July the 15th. Today was the day where rookies reported to Santa Clara. You heard that correct. That's right. The rookies reported today. Tuesday, the rest of the squad reports. And training camp 2025 will be underway, and we are live tonight. Welcome to the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show. As I said before, it's July 15th, 8:26 West Coast, 11:26 East Coast. The great Raj Melwani here from RSF 49ers. He is a force of nature on YouTube. He's a force of nature on Twitter and, of course, on Instagram. And if you're watching us live on YouTube, do us all a favor, smash the like button, hit subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Make sure it's turned on so you never miss a show. And remember, once the live stream wraps up, you can catch the full replay anywhere that you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Wherever your favorite platform is, just search The Krug Show and you'll find us. But we got a lot to get to tonight, so let's jump right in. We're also brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the title sponsor of the show. We're brought to you as well by Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California. Anthony Catania's at 831-521-5264. He's a great follow on Instagram at Sharp Corners 831 on the gram. And we're also brought to you by Claw Daddy Arcades, and you see the logo right above Raj's head. They're a great follow on Instagram at Claw_Daddy_Arcades to find a location near you. Brand new locations in Capitola Mall and Visalia Mall opening later on this summer. And there are links in the description for all of our sponsors. But Raj, we'll just get right into it. It was going to be kind of a quiet few days here before training camp got underway until Drew Rosenhaus and Jauan Jennings hatched this plan to really put the 49ers in a pickle, right? Wait till the 11th hour. Wait till training camp is almost on the verge of happening, and then drop the bomb. Hey, we want a new deal, or we want to be traded. Oh, and yeah, by the way, you got a deadline. It's July the 22nd. Jennings is due $5.6 million in an option bonus that's supposed to come his way on September 1st. That's pretty much all of what he's owed. I mean, he's owed $7.5 million for the total year. He's scheduled to make $7.5 in year two of a 2-year, $15.4 million deal that he signed just a year ago. Matt Barrow says Jennings is expected to not hold out. He's going to be at camp on time. He had 77 catches last year, career year, could have had 1,000 yards, except he got ejected in the final game, 975 yards, 6 touchdowns in 15 games. It was a career year. He had at least 7 receptions in 6 games. There's no Debo. Ayuk is probably out until November, even though there's some speculation he could be back sooner. So the Niners are kind of over a barrel here. And this is a really kind of a very much a power play kind of a move by Drew Rosenhaus. Just 8 days before camp opens, you drop a play me or trade me, ultimatum on the team. And what are the options? Trade him, extend him on some kind of short-term deal if he would agree to it, or give him a big money long-term extension. One website that I read said that Jennings wants to be paid along the lines of Cooper Kupp or Jerry Jeudy. And that is in a range that would put him in the $15 million to $17.5 million per year range. And, somebody else said a good comp might be Darius Slayton. who signed a 3-year, $36 million deal with the New York Giants. So basically $12 million a year, which to me is much more in line with what I would be thinking. $22 million of that is guaranteed. What do you think, Raj? The other, little wrinkle today is that Spot Track. If you look at the Spot Track breakdown of the contract, you say, well, what's Jennings deserve? What's he worth? What's he going to get? It's kind of interesting. If you look at the Spot Track breakdown of what they say, Jennings is going to get, he says, they're saying a fair deal would be a 2-year deal for $38.1 million. So that's $19 million a year.
Wow.
The Niners do have the second most cap space in the NFL, but man, paying a number 2 wide receiver who's never had 1,000 yards in a season, who runs in the 4.7s, that kind of money, $19 million a year when you've already paid Brandon Ayuk, a $30 million deal, it just seems unlikely. So if you ask me, what are they going to do? I would say they'll work out some kind of short-term extension. But if those reports are true and that he wants Cooper Kupp kind of money and roughly 18, 19 a year, I don't think the Niners are going there. And I think if that's the kind of ask that I think could lead to a trade. Give me your evaluation of this whole thing.
Yeah, there's a couple of ways to look at it. And I don't think everybody's going to like what I want to say, because I'm going to just be honest, because look, I love Jauan Jennings. I think he's a very underrated player. In the Niners team, he fits the team very good. We understand he blocks a lot. He's a gritty guy. He's a dog. All those words you can say about him. Baller. He's such a good dude. He's a great teammate. But at the same time, Larry, this is the way I see it, is he got his contract extension last year. I know he was a 7th-round pick. He had to fight and claw his way up from being 3rd round, wide receiver 3. He got an opportunity last year. BA got hurt. Debo had pneumonia. So this guy stepped up. He became wide receiver 1. And I get it. And he stepped up, and he should have had 1,000 yards last year. He had 77 yards or receptions, career year, and valiant effort. He was great. But he's 28. He's going to be 29. He's not the fastest guy. He's not a route runner. But he goes up there, gets contested catches. He's fantastic at what he does for the 49ers. You got to ask yourself another question is, would other teams value him at $19 million, $20 million? I don't know. What's his trade value? Maybe a 3rd-round pick because he had a breakout season last year. So those are questions you have to look at. And again, I love Jauan, but you just extended last year. Like, you should have bought out. You should have, bet on yourself and got more money, because the thing is, this man, what if he signs a 2-year extension this year? Okay. What if they give him the 2-year deal? What's to say that he's not going to do it again next year? Say, I had another good year. I had a better year than the last year. You're going to set the precedent where players can sign 2-year contracts, walk into the offense and say, I want more money. Like, I don't like that. I think John Lynch needs to put his foot down, and they need to stand on business. Again, I love Jauan Jennings. Does he deserve to get paid? Yes, he puts his ass on the line every day. I get what he's saying. I know where he's coming from. $10, $12 million, maybe that's cool. But we're talking about $15, $18, $19 million. You've been a career wide receiver 3. And I get it. This year, the wide receiver room is looking bleak, right? You're going to rely on Pearsall, Jordan Watkins, and Cowing. If Brandon Ayuk's not able to play, Demarcus Robinson might get suspended a few games. So I get it. He's taking advantage of the situation. They're really striking while the iron's hot. They took real big advantage of the situation. You had all offseason, and all of a sudden, a week before training camp, boom, here it comes. I want to trade. Like, again, you're setting the precedent where every player is just going to want to say, you know what? I just want a 2-year contract. After my first year of that contract, I'm going to walk back into the office and say, pay me more. I want more money. I don't like that. That's where I have an issue with this. I think they'll settle it down. I think $10 to $12 million a year would be okay. 2-year deal, because he is 28. It's not like he's 24, 23 years old. He's getting up there. And the other part of it, and I get it, I love how he's a blocker and he's a gritty player, but that style of play, Larry, it's wore his body down. I'm telling you, like, you don't invest $20 million on a guy that's like beat his body down. And I love him. Great guy, glue guy, love him. But that's my take on it, Larry.
Honor your commitments. You put your name on the dotted line. Not you, of course. We're talking about Jauan. Jauan put his name on the dotted line. Honor your commitments. You signed a 2-year deal. So honor your commitments.
Yeah.
If you want to go to the Niners and say, "Hey man, I think you should add a year on or whatever," okay, but I don't think you should renegotiate. That's what you agreed that you would play for. That's what they agreed they would pay you. Show up, play. I mean, I don't really have any patience at all for any of this garbage. You know, where does it end? Where does it end? It's a terrible precedent. If you just keep redoing it. Here's another one. Coach Yak had this one today. He says, "Do you all?" This is a quote from Matt Mayoko. Here's the quote: "Do you all remember that condition that kept Brandon Ayuk off the practice field all through training camp last year? I kind of get the sense that something similar is cooking up with Jauan Jennings in his calf." Matt Mayoko, and then Coach Yak says, "Matt expects Jennings to hold in when he shows up to training camp next week." And this is how I feel about hold-ins. And I'm going to share the screen on this one. This is how I feel about hold-ins. And you tell me if you feel the same way. Hold-ins are simply greedier holdouts. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
A holdout is like, hey, man, I'm not going to show up. And if they fine me and I lose money and fines, so be it. I'm making a statement. A hold-in is just like, hey, all that, except I don't want them taking a penny from me. So I'm just going to show up and be an island unto myself and be a in-person distraction. And it's a hold-in is worse than a holdout. I'd rather have a holdout. At least a holdout, the player is saying, you know what? I'm underpaid and I'm willing to put some money on the line and risk losing something more to make my point. A hold-in is just like, I want more, and you're not getting a penny from me. You're not going to find me a penny. You're not going to cost me a penny. It's just a greedier holdout.
Yeah, well, with the hold-in, yeah, they don't want to lose money. They don't want the fines to eat their contract. So I mean, I figured it's gonna be a hold-in. I didn't think he's gonna hold out because you're right. They don't want to lose money. With going to training camp, he's gonna report. It's like when Marshawn Lynch was at the media day at Super Bowl. He says, "I'm just here so I don't get fined." That's literally what you're doing in training camp. You're just there so you don't get fined.
Right.
You go through the motions. And I remember last year we got the video of IU coming out and he's dapping up. It was like the most viral video. Everybody used it. We got that video last year. I already know this year Jauan Jennings is going to be there. If he doesn't have his contract, we're going to get the video clip. It's going to go viral. Oh, my God. And people are – it's just unneeded. It's weird. It's a weird, awkward vibe. I just don't think we need this. Again, I love Jennings, and I think he's a great player. And yeah, does he deserve more money? Maybe he does. But guess what? Like you said, you signed your contract last year. And at the same time, like, if you go out there and you have the season that you think you're going to have, 1,000 yards, which, it should be in the cards with PA, who knows when he's coming back, no Debo, you can take his targets, whatever. You're supposed to be the wide receiver one this year on this team. If you go out there and have a wide receiver one season, you're going to get paid. Like, you're going to get paid this season. So bet on yourself. And I know some people say, oh, well, he bet on himself last year, but he was a wide receiver 3. You can't sit there and say he wasn't. And I get it. He had to step up last year. But you're basically saying, like, okay, last year I was in my bag. I had to step up, and I carried this team last year. You did, but injuries happen. Like, I'm glad he did. I'm glad he showcased how good he can be. But again, you have to look at the league around him. How much do other teams value him? Do you think other teams value him like the way the Niners do? And I know Niner fans are going to say, oh, yeah, of course, because we're Niner fans, and we love our players. We love our guys. But you got to take the Niner glasses off, Larry. And if you're a team outside looking in, do you really think Jauan Jennings is going to be a wide receiver one on your team? The answer is probably no for a lot of these teams. And that's a hard thing for a lot of fans to swallow because we love our players. We think they're the best. They're the greatest in the world. And they are to us. As Niner fans, yes. But other teams may not value him like the 49ers value him. And that's all I'm saying. So you might kick it around and see what you can get for him because you could still get Amari Cooper on the market.
I mean, well, yeah, we'll get into the alternatives here in a second, but we'll share the screen because I'm a follower on X to this RSF 49ers site. I don't know if you know anything about it, but there's this This is what you put out late, the last tweet you had. Several teams have reportedly inquired about 49er wide receiver Jauan Jennings. However, the Niners said they have no desire in trading Jennings. This is according to Adam Schefter.
Yeah.
So what do you make here? It's like the Niners either must feel like they're going to do one of two things: ignore him altogether, and just say, hey, you got a contract, we're ignoring you, or that they're going to extend him and that they feel like they have some momentum with Rosenhaus to some conclusion as far as that's concerned. I can't imagine that he's asking for, 17, 18, 19 million a year, and they don't want to pay that. But then they're also telling all these teams that are calling, hey, we're not interested in trading him. It doesn't seem like it adds up. What do you make of the latest Schefter report that you put out there?
It's definitely a rumored report. I mean, it's one of those weird ones where it's like, okay, teams, of course, there's going to be rumors right now that teams are inquiring. There's going to be probably people that have posted already. This team is acquired. This team is acquired. It's like when the 49ers are looking at the fans, right? When we sit there and they say, TJ Watt, he's requesting a trade, or Max Crosby. Remember early in the offseason, Myles Garrett. And of course, the 49ers are one of those teams that could possibly look into it. It's going to be the same thing, but you flip it in reverse. It's now Jennings is on the market or possibly going to ask for a trade next week if he doesn't get his extension, right? That's what he had told Schefter, that, look, I want to get paid. If I don't get paid, I will ask for a trade next week when training camp starts. That's what the whole deadline is. Now there's going to be reports of him. People have looked, people have asked, and I'm sure there's probably people doing due diligence right now. The 49ers brass is saying, oh, we don't want to trade. We want to make this work out. Because, again, Jennings gave him that timeline of, hey, let's work it out before training camp starts, which is next week. And I'm sure the 49ers right now are looking into making that work, right? They're trying to make sure that they don't go over the budget like we talked about, right? If they can get him to be 10 to 12, maybe with incentives, I think they'd be okay with that. Now, if it gets to the point where he's like, I want more than that, I want the 18, I want the 20, that's when the 49ers might start looking and saying, okay, we got to look at some of these inquiries and take them serious. So I feel like still in the early phases. Again, it just came out yesterday that he wants to be paid. And if he doesn't get paid, he said, trade me. So I don't think it's reached full tilt yet. It's still in the early phases. And I came to surprise to everybody yesterday, right? Now, if you looked at the report too, he says he has been trying to work out a deal. So we don't know how long he's been, trying to get this deal done with the Niners. Again, this is all kind of new to us. So the timing also kind of makes a big difference in how long Jennings has been courting the Niners. I know the timing for us with this news is like, whoa, what the heck, 11th hour. But maybe it's been going on for a while. We just came to find out about it now. So you never know, because sometimes people don't find out, these source reporters like Schefter, these NFL breaking news guys, sometimes they don't find the news out till later, or sometimes they wait on a story. So because they have to get all the facts and dig deep and everything. So I think that's part of it. And a lot of it is just partly speculation. That's how it is at the offseason. There's some smoke and mirrors around. But as we get closer to next week, I think all the details will come out and we'll know a little bit more.
As far as the marketplace right now, what complicates things, I think, on a lot of fronts is the fact that, there's a lot of free agent receivers still out there. I mean, Keenan Allen is out there. I mean, Keenan Allen has had a much better career than Jauan Jennings. I mean, if you asked 100 NFL personnel people who's better between Keenan Allen and Jauan Jennings, every single one of them is going to say Keenan Allen. So Keenan Allen went to Cal. He's a Bay Area guy. He's out there. If they want to sign Keenan Allen, they can. They want to sign Amari Cooper, they can. Gabe Davis is out there. And that's not the extent of it. I mean, Tyler Boyd, DJ Chark, Nelson Aguilar, Jamison Crowder, they're all out there. And then, I did a whole breakdown the other day of every team's. I looked at every single team's depth chart in the NFL. At wide receiver, and there's a number of wide receivers that could be cut. Brendan Rice, Laviska Shenault, you name it. I mean, Derek Young from Seattle. There's a lot of receivers out there that could get cut. And then, Kansas City is very deep at receiver. The Jets are very deep at receiver. Green Bay, Bo Melton, Malachi Corley. All these guys are kind of on the bubble. So I get the feeling that there's going to be about 10 to 12 wide receivers of note when you consider guys who get cut and the veterans that are still unsigned. I would say there's going to be about a dozen guys out there at the cut down. So it's not that dire. And let me ask you this. What do you think of the Niners wide receiver core without Jennings?
It's not good, Larry. Like
it's Pearsall. Pearsall's a first-round pick.
Okay, I wouldn't say it's not good. It's unproven. We're going into uncharted territory because we know Brandon Ayuk, he's cooked for a little bit. We don't know when he's come back. Let's say he misses 6-7 weeks. Okay, so that's 6-7 weeks without a wide receiver one. And when he comes back, Larry, how's he going to look? Because he just tore every ligament in his knee. So who knows what BA is going to be. So you minus him. You don't have Debo walking through that room. And as much as crap people want to fling on Debo, he was still a good receiver for us. And, last year he had pneumonia and everything. So it's a little hard to come back from pneumonia. I've had pneumonia. So I'm going to give him a little flack there. He looks good for the Commanders. But anyways, okay, you don't have those two guys. You have Ricky Pearsall, who's a first-round pick. Last year he had a lot of adversity getting shot. You give him a pass. But second year, can he take that leap? He's got a hamstring injury. Jacob Cowing, I think he has potential. But do you think he could go from a rookie to big-time 60, 70 targets? I don't know. And then Jordan Watkins, he hasn't he hasn't played it down in the NFL. So you have a lot of unproven guys. They have talent. Ricky Pearsall, he's a first-round pick. He has talent. But can those three guys become elite wide receivers? And we got a tough division, and I know people say the schedule is easy. You can't just keep banking on the schedule easy because at some point when you start losing players, easy schedule, you throw it out the window because then we become chasing teams and you lose a game that you shouldn't have lost. So that wide receiver room is very unproven. And I get it. That's why Jauan Jennings is saying, or his agent, I should say, is saying, look, pay my guy. Drew Rosenhaus, he's notorious for that. So he's saying, pay my guy because you guys have an unproven wide receiver room. And I see where he's coming from, taking advantage of the situation. So it would be smart if they went and got, even if they keep Jauan Jennings, go get an Amari Cooper. Go get another depth guy because you don't know if Jordan Watkins, if Jacob Cowing, or those guys are going to ascend to where you think they are. Again, Niner fans, we put our Niner goggles on. Jacob Cowing is going to be a superstar. He's going to get 50 catches. Jordan Watkins is going to be a super rookie. You take those biases away, I don't know. You got to question it, Larry.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, too. It's like in the mini camp, Jennings looked really good. He was very productive, okay? But then he's also a guy who doesn't run all that fast, and he's 28. So, I mean, it's not like you could probably make the argument that he's probably already played his best football. So, I don't know. I mean, I know that sounds really cold. I know there are people that would be like, dude, where's the appreciation for this guy who's made big catch after big catch? And it's true. The rest of these guys are somewhat hype compared to him. He's like the truth. This guy shows up, Super Bowl Sunday. What's Debo gonna do? Nothing. But Jauan's gonna show up. Yeah. Super Bowl Sunday. What's Ayuk gonna do? He didn't do much.
He didn't do nothing. But Jennings
But Jennings showed up.
Great player.
So, in some ways, this guy is the guy that those guys were supposed to be. But then in the NFL, so then there was Bleacher Report today had 4 trades listed, and I'll throw them your way. But I got to be honest. I kind of think, sometimes I'll read these trades and I'll be like, man, they devalued our players. Especially in the Bleacher Report trades. I've read a lot of them this offseason about Jonathan Kuminga and the Warriors, right? And it's always like, trade Jonathan Kuminga for Kelly Olynyk or something. It's like, what? No, I'm not trading some super athletic 24-year-old awesome talent guy for some stiff white guy with a headband. Sorry, I'm not doing it. So a lot of times, Bleacher Report has these trades and they devalue the guys. I kind of think they're overvaluing Jauan Jennings. Here are the 4 trades, and you tell me if you think these. To me, it's like I think these all seem like dramatic overpays. Now, maybe I'm and I like Jauan Jennings. And if anybody should appreciate him, it's us, right? Because we've
Yeah, we love
watched
him.
it. And we've watched it. We've watched, like, if in the biggest moment of the year, if Brock Purdy went to Jauan Jennings, no Niner fan who knows the Niners would complain because he is our money guy. Like, when the money is on the table, and that, he earned third and Jauan. You know what I mean? That wasn't just like some T-shirt that was sold at some, after the game. This guy earned that. All right, here are the four trades. You tell me what you think of these. The first one sends Jennings to the Raiders for a 2026 third round pick and Trey Tucker, who's a kind of a speedy little receiver. He himself was a 2023 third round pick. Okay, that's their offer. A third round pick and Trey Tucker. Now, to me, that seems really high. Now, I know Trey Tucker is nothing, but a third round pick? They got a fifth for Debo. They're going to get a third for Debo's backup? That seems odd to me, but whatever. So that's the first trade. The Jennings to the Raiders for a third and Trey Tucker. Then the second one is Jennings to the Patriots for a 2026 fourth and Jalen Polk, who was their second round pick last year, but he was kind of a bust out of UW. Interesting. Fourth round pick and Jalen Polk. The third trade option is Jennings to the New York Jets, which I really don't see because I think the Jets are, as I said before, kind of loaded at receiver.
Yeah.
But this one is Jennings to the Jets for a 2026 fifth and then a 2027 third. I mean, I'm doing that trade. There's no doubt. I would do that. And then the last one is Jennings to the Steelers for a 2026 third round pick and Calvin Austin.
That's not bad.
And I would do that too. Like, I'm looking at these trades, and I would do all four of those trades just because I don't think I would probably do the Patriots one because I'd rather have the third round pick, and I'm not a big fan of Jalen Polk. He really wasn't very good last year. And I'm not a Trey Tucker fan, but like if I could take that Raider trade and instead of a third and Trey Tucker, if I could get like a third and Michael Mayer, I would do it. Or if the New England trade, if I could get a fourth and instead of Jalen Polk, I could get that rookie receiver they have, Chisholm, I would do that. To the Jets, if I could get those two picks, I would do that. If I could trade that fifth round pick for Malachi Corley and have Corley in a third, I would definitely do that. And for the Steelers, a 26th third and a Calvin Austin, I would do that. I think I would rather have like a Beanie Bishop, who's a corner the Niners need, probably more than Calvin Austin, but that is neither here nor there. I would do that trade. All four of those trades, like any trade that nets you a third round draft choice in next year's draft, I would do.
Third round pick, yeah. Steelers trade is great. And again, I love Jauan Jennings, and you can't replace his clutch factor and his blocking. And I've said all that. And I know the fans are like, you can't trade him. He's a dog. He's this. He's gritty. Yeah, but he's also 28. He runs a 4.7 speed. I don't know if a lot of other teams would value him as much as the Niner fans do. Again, I love the guy, but if you can get a third round pick for a guy that was a seventh round pick, a smart business. And again, we don't even know how much he's asking for. If it's 15 to 20, you might think about trading him. If you get a third round pick, it's good business. But again, I love him, and I know a lot of people are saying, he's got the contested catch ability. Gets those 50-50 balls. Yeah, I'm not denying any of that. But at the same time, he had to step up. He had a career year because he didn't have anybody. So if you drafted these young receivers like Pearsall and Cowing and you have high hopes for them, they got to sink or swim at some point. And you got to hope that they can step up. And I get it. Jauan Jennings, he's supposed to be the wide receiver one this year. But at the same time, he's going to get double teams, triple teams. So those other guys are going to have to step up regardless, right? And I think at this point, if he's asking for too much, I don't think trading him for a third round pick's the worst business he could do. Because again, at this point in his career, he's old. He's I wouldn't say old, but he's getting up to that point where it's like, he might hit a decline. And at this point, with the amount of blocking he's done and everything, maybe it is smart to trade him for a third round pick and let him go prove. What if he goes to like Cleveland or Tennessee? Then he'd be their top wide receiver. He can go out there, prove that he's a wide receiver one, get his money and do his thing. And again, I would hate to see, that big catch ability leave the team because I think he is important to the 49ers with what he's done. But at the same time, if you want all this money and you're not willing to be a team player, you might need to go. Because again, my whole theory, my whole like base of this argument is he asked for extension second year of his contract. What if he signs another 2-year contract and then next year he does it again? Let's say he plays great, gets a 2-year extension, has a career year, and he goes back to the front office and says, "Hey, look, John, I need you to pay me again." Like, I just think it's setting the precedent.
I'm going to give you, so those were Bleacher Report's ideas, okay, and I think they're good ideas, as I said. I think, and as Raj and I kind of are pretty much in lockstep on this. We're, I this is a bad live stream because we're both in agreement, but I think we see it exactly the same. We both have unbelievable appreciation for Jauan, but we also both understand there's limits. And here's the other thing about this. And I don't know what you think of this one, but the 49ers stated new position was that they were going to be ruthless in contract negotiations. And then they gave Purdy $265 million. They extended Fred. They extended Kittle. I haven't seen ruthless 49er negotiation. And if they give Jennings, if they tear up his existing contract and give him another new contract, how can you say you're being ruthless? And not that ruthless is something that we all want, but that was their stated position. We're going to be ruthless. Well, if you're going to be ruthless, I don't think you're going to, suddenly throw 17, 18, 19 million at Jauan Jennings. But let me give you two teams that I think do make sense. The first team, and I'm going to share the screen on these. The first team, you got to think about, where is Jauan Jennings have true value? Where's his value? His value is in a couple fronts. He's very valuable inside the state of Tennessee. He went to Tennessee. He's beloved in Tennessee. And this is a brand new regime with a brand new quarterback. I mean, if I was Cam Ward, I would want Jauan Jennings. Right? If I'm Cam Ward and I'm looking to make it in the NFL, damn right I want Jauan Jennings. So let's see what they have. Looking at their wide receiver core, this current regime inherited Calvin Ridley. I would gladly take Calvin Ridley. They signed Van Jefferson. They signed Tyler Lockett. They drafted Xavier Strepo. They signed Xavier Strepo as a free agent. That's unbelievable. And they drafted Alec Ayamanor. They still have Treylon Burks, Prochet. They got a lot of guys here. What do you think of Jauan Jennings to the Titans for like Treylon Burks and Alec Ayamanor?
I mean,
you get that receiver that was so, the Niners showed so much interest in the spring. Granted, he's raw. He's just a big, strong, fast guy. And Burks has also kind of been disappointing. But he's big, and once upon a time he was a first-round pick. I mean, you would add two big receivers. Obviously, neither's Jennings, but who knows? Maybe Ayamanor, maybe Burks could. I mean, they're probably better talents than Jennings. But what do you think of that? Because, I mean, you trade Jauan Jennings to Tennessee, and I think that would be a very, very popular move by the Titans. Their brand new GM, Mike Borgonzi. I mean, you go acquire a popular Vol. They also have Roger McCreary, the corner. I wouldn't mind him, Roger McCreary. They have Arden Key if you're looking for more pass rush. I mean, they have other guys, but as far as if you just want to go receiver for receiver, I would trade Jauan for Alec Ayamanor and Treylon Burks, and go 2 for 1. See if you can hit that. That would be interesting to me. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't hate it. I mean, I know they're not names that scream out the off the board, and I know Niner fans would probably say, "Oh, it's terrible. Jauan's better than them." But if you're gonna get rid of them and get a receiver, I mean, it wouldn't be the worst case scenario, right? I would still take a good draft pick if you can get it. If you can get a 3rd-round pick, that's where I would value him at. Hopefully, they could snag that in there. But yeah, no, I wouldn't hate that for those two receivers because they're still young. They're still, talented guys that maybe they can hit with the 49ers, right? Again, you have a lot of young guys, and maybe one of those guys can step up and take the reins, just like Jauan Jennings did, right? He was called upon to step up and make a name for himself, which, over the last couple of years, he worked his way up the roster. So I get it why people would be upset if they trade him. I wouldn't hate that, but I wouldn't love that as some of the other trades that you had mentioned earlier. So
Here's the other one that I like. And this one to me, if you say who would want Jauan? And to me, when we talked about this, wide receiver more than the other positions on the football team are really about the complementary deal, right? You can't have 10, guys with burning speed, but nobody who can catch a third down pass. And you can't have a bunch of possession receivers and no speed. You got to have a blend. So who needs Jauan Jennings? You know who needs Jauan Jennings? The Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins need Jauan Jennings. Why? Well, and I'm going to share the screen on their depth chart. They have Tyreek Hill, burner. They have Jalen Waddle, burner, right? They've got Mike McDaniel, head coach, under some pressure. But they don't have they just traded, the tight end, Jonnu Smith. They added Darren Waller, but they don't really have, who's also a, very speedy tight end. They don't have that for sure move the chains, continuity receiver. What do you think of this one? What about Jauan Jennings to the Dolphins for Malik Washington, who was their 6th-round pick last year? He is a smallish slot receiver out of Virginia, but he's very strong-handed. It would be like trading an older slot receiver with size for a younger slot receiver who lacks size, but Malik Washington's really good. If I could get Malik Washington and a pick and get younger and get out from underneath all the money of, Jauan's demanding, and I would do that. So the Dolphins, to me, make sense because they need a receiver like Jauan, and they have Malik Washington to throw back to the Niners, and I think Malik Washington would be a really, really nice 49er. So those would be the two.
I think that's where I disagree with you, Larry. I think that'd be a downgrade. I think that one.
You don't like.
You really got
but you don't know
like
much. But I mean, be honest. How much of Malik Washington have you studied?
Nobody knows Malik Washington, but again,
but I'm saying he was great at Virginia, and he's really good. He's really good. He's just a small receiver who doesn't.
I get it, but you got Jacob Cowling. He's 5'9". He's a small receiver.
Yeah.
You already got that.
But I mean, this guy's small but kind of yoked. I mean, this guy's short, but he's like, this guy's 5'8", 195 or whatever. He's strong. I know you haven't seen him, but Malik Washington has got a lot of talent. Just trust me when I say that. He's going to be really good. But I mean, I don't. I guess the point is this. As much as we all like Jauan, do you really believe that the Niners would pay Jauan Jennings over $15 million a year? Like, I've heard somebody, like Coach Yak, threw out, hey, 2 years, $30 million, let's get it done. Sounds good. Sounds about right. Do you really believe that the Niners are going to pay? They've already paid CMC. They've already paid Kittle. They've already paid Ayuk. They just drafted Ricky Pearsall. And they're going to now pay Jauan Jennings $15 million a year or more. Raj, as much as I wouldn't, I want to see Jauan stick around. Obviously, I don't want to see him traded. I would bet almost anything that the Niners will not pay him $15 million a year. What do you think?
I don't think they pay him over. I think, again, with like contract escalators and incentives, they may be able to get him to get that magic number if you hit this many touchdowns, this, that, the other. Because they did put some incentives, like when Debo was around, right? They had like the rushing touchdowns and this and that. There's like $3 million here, this and that. So I feel like they can add some incentives, which is not guaranteed. But I don't think they'd pay him over 15. I mean, again, I love the guy, but I think they'd look to pay him between 10 to 12, maybe 13. That's the most I think they'd stretch it out to. And then you drop some incentives and say, hey, look, you want to make 15? Do this for us. Do this for us. Because, again, he is very integral to this team. I'm not going to sit here and say he's not. But I feel like if he gets to the point where it's like too much for them, they're going to say, look, man, we love you. But I mean, at the end of the day, we got a business to do. And I feel like, again, the whole argument that I have is John Lynch needs to put his foot down and say, look, man, because if you do this to me this year, what's to say that Demo next year is going to be like, yo, I was a Pro Bowler. I know I just got paid.
Dude, forget that, Raj. Who's to say that McKivitz doesn't make a request 72 hours from now?
Yeah, exactly. Anybody could go into the office. That's the thing. This is a precedent that you're setting with Jennings. It's 2 years, and I get it. He was a restricted free agent, so it's a little harder for them to get paid. There's constraints and stuff. But at the same time, this is what you negotiated last year. Your agent. If you thought you were worth more, you could have ponied up and try to get a little bit more. Maybe you weren't going to get 15, obviously, but you could have got closer to that number. And boom, you had a hell of a year. And now you're like, oh damn, dude, I'm a Ferrari, man. Let me tell you, I'm a Ferrari. So it's gonna set a precedent. And I know a lot of people don't agree with me. It's gonna set the precedent where people are gonna walk into that office and say, yo, Jennings, you paid him after a year. I want to get paid. Pay me.
Who's left? They've already paid everybody.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying, though. You're basically just saying, hey, anybody who wants a contract is just, you know what? I'll tell you the one thing that's unfortunate, and it's not anybody's fault. It's more just the way football teams age. But, the early part of this regime, there was so much optimism and, and all the talent was being gathered. And now it's like you got these talented players. They haven't won a Super Bowl, but everybody's at that point where they want to get theirs. And it's like, the curse of me, and I know that sounds a little over dramatic, but I mean, everybody's about themselves. Everybody's about getting paid. Jauan Jennings is 28. He can see his mortality within the sport. And he's like, man, I better get paid. What do you think? Everybody who gets paid at this point, it's like, Jalen Moore, I love it here, but no, somebody's going to offer me a ridiculous sum of money. I'm bolting. So and I don't blame these guys. You only have so much time to earn your money and make your money. But I kind of wonder if the Niners should, instead of kowtowing to every veteran and trying to believe that every single one of these guys is super special and integral, maybe they should be a little bit colder. And Kansas City said goodbye to Tyreek. The Vikings said goodbye to Diggs. The Packers said goodbye to Adams. The Titans said goodbye to A.J. Brown. I mean, there's a lot of teams that just are faced with, do I pay my diva wide receiver? Screw it. No, we don't. Goodbye. See ya. So maybe the Niners, who have been the other way, maybe they've been a little too warm and fuzzy. Maybe they need to be a little bit more ruthless. Maybe they need to be like, screw him. No way. We're not doing it. Goodbye. I mean, I don't know. I love this player. He's a super tough player. I do think he'd be missed if you lost him. Mm-hmm. But I also saw him working out at minicamp, and I'm looking at his body, and I'm thinking he had 4.7 speed coming out of Tennessee. Everybody's body thickens and ages over time. And it's like, okay, if you have 4.3 speed and you lose a step, so what? You're 4.45. But if you have 4.7 speed and you lose a step, now you're 4.9. Now you're like as fast as like offensive tackles. And he already doesn't gain a lot of separation. I mean, if you just factor in just basic 28, 29-year-old physical regression, there's no chance in hell I'm paying him any kind of significant extension. If he wants to add 1 year on and a couple more $1 million guaranteed, some minor little tweak that gives him a little bit more guaranteed and maybe 1 more year of certainty or whatever, or, 1 more year of roster certainty. That's as far as I'm going, man. I'm not doing 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. And I don't think they should either.
I'm not giving him more than 2. Again, yeah. I said
2 more or 2 including this next year. See, I'd go 2 including this next year.
Okay,
I don't even think I want to go 2
1 year
more.
extension. You're giving him 1 year.
1 year.
I guess I'd give him a 2 year extension because you might be able to work the numbers a little bit better. That's the max I'm giving him. I see where you're coming from 1 year because you get 28. I think he's turned 29, so he'll be 31. At that point, it's like, oh, wow, okay. So this is his last chance to really cash in the league. And I get where he's coming from, where, I get these players want to get money because not a lot of them are going to be able to cash in on their career. They want to make the most of it. And live in California, it's a little expensive. That $7 million probably is like $3 million after taxes and stuff. So I see where he's coming from. But at the same time, like, you got to play business because I think they were a little too nice because Christian McCaffrey asked for more money last year. He did. He had a calf injury. I mean, did he have the calf injury before he asked for more money? Who knows? That's another story for another day. I've heard that Jauan Jennings has been dealing with a little bit of calf issue, right? So that's a little risky, right? Trent Williams wanted more money last year. They gave it to him. So it's just like it is a precedent with the 49ers. I feel like if you beg for money, they're going to give it to you for the most part if you're one of their key players. And I feel like at some point, And that's why the Niners went to get younger players, go through the draft 11 players, because they needed, get guys that are cheaper on contracts, build them, develop them, and say, okay, maybe we'll pay this guy. Well, this guy didn't live up to his draft, expectations. We're not going to pay him. So they kind of did a little bit of a retooling here this year, and they needed to after a 6-win season. So I feel like the 49ers are still in that weird little retooling situation where you just still can't pay everybody. And you have to really look at the roster because, yes, they paid Nick Bosa. Yes, they paid Fred Warner. Yes, they paid George Kittle. But at some point in 2-3 years, a lot of those contracts will be expiring or towards the end of it. And they're going to be a little older. So then are you going to bring them back again? Who knows? That's why you drafted this new wave of players. So the Niners are in a weird situation where they still have a lot of great talent, but they're kind of at this weird position where after these great players in 2 to 3 years, may not be on the team anymore. And then you have to look and say, we can't just pay everybody. We have to develop some players. And if you're asking for too much, we might need to kind of put our foot down. So, again, I love Jennings, but it's just a weird situation to be because every year it seems like we go through some drama. And we were so close to the finish line. Like we were right there. And then here we go.
Do you think the Niners were caught by surprise, or do you think that Lynch is fully aware that this was going on the whole time? Because, I mean, here's the other thing. Jauan came out in minicamp. He looked great in the first minicamp. And then in the second minicamp, it was like, he's hurt. He's not playing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe he wasn't hurt.
Maybe he was.
Maybe he's just, he's just sitting out, kind of the hold-in situation. But, I mean, do you think this news caught the Niners by surprise, or do you think that they expected them to go public right before camp like this?
I feel like this might have been a surprise. To me, I feel like this is a surprise. Maybe I'm wrong. I kind of do feel like this one's because it just doesn't seem like Jennings. But maybe, again, it's probably led by his agent. It doesn't seem like something.
The agent's a vet. The agent's a veteran. It's not like a rookie. This guy's done it. This guy understands how to play the game for sure.
Yeah.
Here's the other question. Would Jauan Jennings have the success that he's had if he was going up against other teams' first or second corner? I mean, he's been going up against the slot corner. He's been going up against, sometimes favorable matchups. He's operated this entire time on a team that's had Kittle, Ayuk, Debo, McCaffrey. 0 people are staying up at night scheming to defend Jauan Jennings. So it's like, is he benefited from the surrounding cast to the point where if you paid him more and said, hey, you be our guy, is he just going to get totally dominated by opposing number one corners because he doesn't have the kind of physical pedigree to be able to separate? He's done it against third corners, but if you ask him to do it against number one corners, it won't happen. What do you think?
That's the big question, right? That's what I'm saying is, would he be able to? And that's when I said the other teams I don't know if other teams value him as a wide receiver 1 because he has been benefiting from getting, covered by a cornerback 3 or whatever. And not to say that he hasn't put his ass, worked his ass off. He still had to make the plays, right? So I get that. But at the same time, yeah, you're not playing against like Sauce Gardners of the world. You're not playing against those guys. So now if he becomes their wide receiver 1, which we all pretty much say he is this year, right? Even the offensive coordinator said JJ wants to be the X guy. He wants to be the wide receiver 1. He wants to be that guy. Teams are going to have time to prepare for him and have a game plan for JJ. So that might change the way he plays. And again, that's going to go into negotiations, and that's why I said, like, do you really value him to be that top flight guys? Can he beat those guys on press man coverage with his speed and everything? I know he's physical, and I know he does a lot of intangible things that you can't really put a grade on. I know he's that glue guy, but to me, I don't know if he can beat those wide receiver or those cornerback ones. I love him, but that to me is the argument of why you wouldn't pay him in that upper echelon range. So he can prove me wrong though, and I hope he does.
Let's let me throw one more hypothetical at you. Tomorrow morning, you're John Lynch. You go into the office. The phone rings. It's Adam Peters. He says, "Lynchy, man, you guys got some serious crap on your hands." Yeah. All right, I'm going to do you a favor. I'll take Ayuk and JJ for Terry McLaurin and Luke McCaffrey.
Send
What
it
do you
in. He ain't doing that for us. You kidding me? Adam Peters could have BA if he wanted to.
So you think the Niners would get the better deal there, even though McCaffrey's kind of a nothing?
McLaurin's better than every single one of those receivers you mentioned.
Okay, so you're Lynch, and you get that offer, you say for sure. Please. But let's just say it's Lynch calling Peters, making that offer, and Peters says no.
Peters gonna spit on it. He's gonna choke on his water when he calls.
Okay, so if you're Peters and you get offered Ayuk and JJ for Luke McCaffrey and Terry McLaurin, and you don't want to do it, what would make you do it? What would the Niners have to throw you to make you say, you know what, I'll do that?
Maybe
that's realistic, draft. not a first round.
Maybe a draft. They'd probably have to trade a draft pick in there, but I don't think
a third round pick.
Yeah, I don't think Adam Peters. He's not doing
Ayuk and JJ and a third to the Commanders for McLaurin and McCaffrey. Two good Irish guys. We'll take McLaurin and McCaffrey.
It's not happening. You can't. You think Adam Peters if he wanted Brandon Ayuk,
he's the guy. He's the guy who wanted JJ. He's the guy that wanted Ayuk. He's the guy that drafted these guys.
He could have got Brandon Ayuk. He went and got Deebo Samuel. That's all I gotta say. He got the guy he wanted from the Niners.
He can have them all. He can have them all.
He sure can have them all.
He can have them all. I'll say this: they don't want to pay McLaurin.
I know.
And crazy. McCaffrey, hasn't necessarily lit the world ablaze. I mean, he's a nice athlete, but I don't.
He's not your brother.
I don't know. I don't think he's super special. I think he's a solid. He's a solid. No, he's not his brother, but I mean, he's a solid receiver.
I wouldn't say solid.
You don't think? You think he's better or worse?
Christian McCaffrey, Luke McCaffrey.
Yeah, he's probably worse. Solid.
He's not
worse. Okay, well, I think he's a solid. He's a solid receiver prospect.
He's in the league because his brother's Christian McCaffrey. He's an Epo kid.
You really think so?
I think so. No. Just like Brennan Rice.
No.
Yes.
No, he's not in the league because of his brother.
Yes, he is. Come on, Larry. No. If his name was not Luke McCaffrey,
you're short selling him.
He'd be my
he's better than that. He's better than that.
No, he'd be my DoorDash, right?
No, he's not.
Stop, Larry.
Dude, he ran a better 40 time than Christian.
I get that. If in 1992
he was a quarterback who played 1 year of college football receiver, and in the first year was all conference. So no, I think he's better than you think. But whatever, it doesn't matter. We don't want to get tripped up on that. We'll agree to disagree. All right. It's not a big deal. But I think you're short selling him, which I don't know why. I'm not sure why.
Maybe I am.
Okay.
Maybe.
Let's hit a couple supers, and then we got a couple last topics, and then
we'll
get
back on topic. They said, yeah.
Back on topic. Now, Hawaii.
Ololi.
Hawaii Oli. Coming to San Francisco till July 22nd. Gonna check out Pig in a Pickle. There we go. I wasn't sure what that was. It's a Pina, Pig in a Pickle. Can I run into some of the players or you guys at the stadium next week? Yes. If you're outside the stadium, I'll be there. I don't know next week. Well, next week, I believe they report on the 22nd. I don't know when the first practice is in the first meeting.
23rd, baby. I'll be there.
It's the 23rd?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'll be there on the 23rd. I'm doing the KBR show with JD on the 24th. So I'll be down there on the 23rd and 24th. And basically, I'll be there every day. So, yes, and I walk in and out of the garage, and the fans are all standing there. And if you recognize me, please come over, say hi. I'd love to say hi to you and chop it up with you and talk some Niners. So, yeah, absolutely. Raj is also going to all of the open camp practices that he can get into, and he'll be there. So, and Raj, I don't know if people recognize you or not in some of those things, but look for Raj. He will have Niner garb.
Yeah, I'll probably be wearing a shirt.
And he's a huge man. He's like 6'9".
No, I'm like
300,
5'6", dude.
380 pounds.
Like, I'm not that big.
If you see a guy that looks a little bit bigger than Alfred Collins, that's Raj.
Yeah,
that's
right,
Raj.
dude. If you see an Indian guy that looks malnourished, that's me.
Malnourished. Thomas Selman 4983 says pay JJ before camp or trade him for a younger wide receiver, maybe to the Jets for Corley and a 6th and a 7th pick. I think I don't know if it makes sense for the Jets to get Jauan, but I do like Corley, and you guys know that because I've been talking him up.
Yeah, that's your guy.
Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of the Debo traits, and I think second year he'll be much better. Greg Gargisi, here's a thought: how many touchdowns did Jauan have in the Super Bowl? Threw one and caught one. If the Niners won that game, he would have been the Super Bowl MVP. Or who would have been the Super Bowl MVP? Yeah, it would have been him. Jauan almost became the Super Bowl MVP. I mean, this is a good player. He's a really good player. But how much? There are limits. That's the question. Joseph Ernberg. This wide receiver room is going to be so bad this season. I like the vote of confidence.
I had my regret. I remember the last couple of weeks I said, Larry, I'm worried about this wide receiver room. And then Jauan.
We're gonna get into the three or four other guys before we get out. I got one question on those guys. MSQ says Niners being ruthless means we're getting these contracts done now and not just waiting a week before the season starts to extend our guys. Thoughts? I mean, they said they want to be ruthless. I'm waiting for the ruthlessness. I'm not sure. The only ruthlessness I've seen is they were ruthless in their inability to spend money in the undrafted free agent market. Other than that, I don't see any ruthlessness. MSQ says, and why are we acting like JJ is just some scrub that we can replace just like that? 13 to 16 million is not that bad for what he provides for the O. Dude, he's never had a 1,000-yard season. How could you say that?
I'm gonna say this. He should have had 1,000 yards last year. I'm gonna asterisk.
Okay, but that would have been his first.
His first 1,000-yard season last year. I'm gonna say
we're not acting like he's a scrub. We've given him his praise over and over, but he signed a contract. And it's like, dude, live up to your contract.
Live it up, man.
Short-term, bigger money extension, I'm for that. Any kind of long-term extension, no. Nope. If I just saw him at minicamp and he was just in absolutely amazing shape and just moving like a gazelle on the field, I would sign him. But he wasn't looking like that. He looked like a guy who's been in the league a number of years. He looked like a guy who may have lost a half step. He's still a great receiver, but come on, man. There's no way I'm going big money long term on a 4.7 wide receiver in his sixth year? What year is he in?
Fifth year.
Fifth year.
So my question to you, Larry, is if Jauan Jennings is on any other team except the Niners, does he get 1,000 yards?
Well, I would say yes.
Okay, what team?
I mean, I just think that if he got the ball more, if he was more of the focus. I mean, he's on. Let's be honest. I mean, Bill Barnwell the other day ranked every team's weapons in the league, and he ranked the Niners' weapons 4th overall in the league. So, I mean, I think that's fair, probably, right? So the Niners do have a lot of good weapons. So if you put him on a team that had fewer weapons, yeah, I think he'd produce more. But also he would draw the other team's number 1 DB. So there's a little bit of a trade-off. I don't want to besmirch in any way Jauan because, one, I really admire him. I think his game, he's a self-made player. He's my kind of guy. The old coach used to say to me, Larry, let me tell you about football players. And I'd be like, all right, let me hear it. He'd be like, some of them show up for the money. Some of them show up for the girls. Some of them show up for the glory. And you don't want any of those motherfuckers. You want the guys, he goes, you don't want any of those motherfuckers. You want the guys who show up for the W. Oh, and wow. That is Jauan Jennings. He shows up for the reasons. W.
I get it. I do it for the girls, the money, the glory, everything, baby. The dub.
Well, I'm not saying they don't want the girls, the money, and the glory. I'm just saying, what do they need to have?
Yeah.
And JJ needs the W. And that, hey, man, that cannot be undersold. I love guys like that. But he has played a lot of football. And as I said, It's not like I'm not flipping him the bird and saying get out of the building. I'm saying, hey, let's add on 1 year and a couple $1 million, and so you have a little bit more. You feel like you're taken care of a little bit more. You had a career year. Let's show you how much we respect you and love you. Let's
Mm.
offer you an extra year and couple extra million.
Mm.
If that's what will get this done, hey, we're good.
Yeah, that's
Where
fair.
this isn't going to work is if he says, hey, spot track, as Spot Trek does. He comes to you and says, I want 2 years at 38.1 million.
That's
No.
crazy, dude.
Then
That's yeah.
I'm literally calling around the league and I'm taking whatever the best package is in the next 15 minutes. I'm taking it. So if that's what you want and that's fine. I mean, you're totally entitled to that, but you're not getting it here.
Yeah.
That's
They're
that's
not
all I
paying for
would.
vibes, man. I need you to consistent. I want you to put up the season you had last year, man.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. MSQ. And I'm not putting a ceiling on JJ based on straight line speed, combine measurement, but all love Larry and Raj, love the content and the streams. And I'm not putting a ceiling on JJ. What's he saying?
So before he said that, JJ deserves money, blah, blah, and then he says that don't just because he doesn't have like that 4.3 speed, you don't put a ceiling on him. You don't cap him out, right? Because he's got the game speed, he's got the intangibles, he's got the grittiness, right? That's what
He
he said.
produces scoreboard, right?
Yeah, he
Scoreboard.
still puts up numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear that. That's fair. MSQ. The problem isn't giving them the bag. We procrastinate, which affects their play. And JJ would have had 1,000 last year if not for that ejection. Yeah, well, there's no doubt he would have had 1,000.
But no
But
procrastinating. This is last minute.
well, I mean, yeah, I mean, this is not their timeline, is it? You know, this is not. You can't. I mean, seriously. MSQ. I know you're a good fan and everything, but come on, you can have a lot of takes on this, but you can't say, Lynch and Shanahan blew this. They procrastinated. I don't think so, unless they knew this entire
Yeah.
offseason that JJ was like, dude, we're not showing up. Dude, we're not showing up. Dude, we're not showing up. But it sounds like he is going to show up. So who knows? Okay. There was an article on Niners Nation, and they're asking who will be the next man to step up for the Niners if Jauan Jennings is traded. How much confidence, Raj, do you have in the trio of Jordan Watkins, Jacob Cowing, and Ricky Pearsall?
Right now,
and if you said confidence, 1, 2, 3,
yeah.
who do you have the most confidence in? Who do you have the least confidence in? Obviously, Pearsall has had the most success. He's had the most exposure. Watkins has had the least, but I kind of have the most confidence in Watkins of all the guys because he's got real speed and size. He's 200 pounds and he runs 4.37. Where Cowing's got speed but no size. Pearsall's got size but no speed. I like Watkins because he has size and speed, or he has some heft and some speed.
He does. But at the same time, I don't know if Kyle likes Kyle
He's
playing those young guys. He's a rookie. He's got to earn his stripes. He's got to block. So in terms of like in this system on this team with the Niners, you got to go with the easy answer is Ricky Pearsall. You got to have the most confidence in him, but it's not like sky high confidence because again, I'm worried about that hamstring because those things can linger. Hopefully it's nipped in the butt, but hopefully he doesn't have any other issues down the line this year because he's one of those guys. Like the biggest knock on Ricky Pearsall is he works too hard. Like he overworks himself. Trust me, I'm a person like that. When sometimes you work yourself too hard, you stress your body out, and then things happen. So I think he can be the best one out of those three. Obviously, he's the first round pick, so I have high hopes for him. But at the same time, he needs to learn how to use his body properly and avoid injuries. And I'd say number 2, maybe Jordan Watkins, because I do think he's a solid looking player. He looks like he's going to be a good playmaker. He has the speed and everything. And I'm not saying I don't like Cowing. I don't know what the 49ers role is going to be with him because last year they kind of try to use him everywhere. I think they were trying to still figure that out. And, again, the blocking with the 49ers is huge, and he has to really get that up to speed. I still see him more as a special teamer. But, again, if he has a good training camp, he's going to blaze up that wide receiver chart because you got no Brandon Ayuk. You got this whole Jennings situation. So it's not to say that Cowing can't take over Watkins in my mind, but I don't know. I'm intrigued by Watkins. I think he's a good prospect. I like his talent. He played great in college. He was a big part of why Jackson Dart was a first-round pick. You know, he was one of his top receivers. So I think this guy has some talent, and I think he's underrated already on this team.
I know nobody wants to hear me mention this guy again, so
He's dropping you the bag, baby.
MSQ says, I mean, when the Niners give our guys like Ayuk, Bosa, Trent, Debo last-minute contract extensions, their games end up declining.
Oh, yeah.
That's all. Well, I know. I mean, this is the battle royale. If you want to win the contract negotiations and you're just going to battle and battle and battle and delay and delay and delay and get it done at the last second, guess what? You're going to pay a price for that. Ayuk 2 years ago was amazing. He was healthy. He had this amazing camp. He was absolutely amazing. Last year, you know, I mean, the contract negotiations, he wasn't anywhere close to the player he was.
He was a shell of himself. That year before, Larry, training camp, every day, he had like spectacular. I remember he was like making Fred Warner sick to his stomach. This guy was incredible. And I knew he was going to have a big year. I was like, wow, Ayuk's the guy. And then it's like complete 180 last year in camp. I was like, what happened to this guy?
Warren Sharp on Twitter says that Shamar Stewart's going back to A&M.
Nice.
He left the Bengals. He went back to College Station to practice with the Aggies. He might not play this year in the NFL. He might instead return to college instead, but he can't play anymore. I believe his eligibility's up. He would then enter the 2026 NFL draft where the Bengals would not be able to draft him. Should John Lynch offer the 49ers second-round pick in the 26th draft to the Bengals as we approach August the 5th and that deadline? They're going to get nothing for him if they have him after August 5th. He's not giving in. They don't appear to be giving in. So they're going to lose this player. Would you offer your second for Shamar as we get closer to August 5th?
I mean, I don't know if that whole story is legit or anything, but if it is, yeah, obviously I would. The Bengals are a terrible organization. At first, when I saw this whole situation, I was like, oh, man, I can't believe we didn't. I'm glad we didn't draft Shamar. We dodged the bullet. But now that I look into the whole situation, the Bengals are still, they don't want to pay him guaranteed money, man. You're a first-round pick. That's like you're entitled to guaranteed money. So I don't blame him for holding out. Honestly, I'd trade a second-round pick for him. I think he's good. I think he would be fantastic to help this 49ers bolster their D-line. You got Bosa, Mikael Williams. You'd have Bryce Huff. You could have Shamar Stewart. Hell yeah, I'd do a second-round pick for him. Bengals are stupid, man. They pay the guy. Pay the man. Pay him his guaranteed money. You got no defense for Joe Burrow.
It's like, what do you think? This is how you're going to play your hand. You're not going to sign Trey Hendrickson, and you're not going to sign, Shamar Stewart. We were talking about this on the radio today. If you said, look at the NFL season ahead, give me a prediction? I'll give you a prediction. I really think that the NFC and AFC West are going to be much better than people think. Oh, by the way, the All-Star game ended in a tie again. Did you see that?
No,
6-6 tie.
That's why you don't watch. How do you end an All-Star game in a tie? That's why I don't watch baseball anymore, Larry.
Schwarber technically lifted the NL to the win in a home run swing off, but they finished in a 6-6 tie.
Come on.
God, Jesus. That is just awful.
That's disgusting.
That is just, I mean, that.
We should take steroids in baseball again. That's when it was good.
I mean, that is just awful. What was I asking you?
No.
I don't even remember what I was asking
you.
I got so distracted by that train wreck. All right, last one. Who are you looking forward to seeing this summer? Like, what do you want to see? Is there, like, give me one or two players that you are really, really fired up to see this summer.
You know what? I'm super excited to see Isaac Guerrero, man. I don't know why. I just I'm hyped up to see Guerrero. I don't know, because I want to see how good this guy can be. Because again, we've talked about how much they need to help Chris McCaffrey and take carries away. I want to see if this guy looks like he could be explosive, because he was a very raw running back last year. He didn't really have many carries. I want to see how better he looks as a runner this year, and how good his pass catching out of the backfield. I think that's gonna be important for him. I'm really hyped up to see Isaac Guerrero on the offensive side of things. Defensive side of the ball, I'm excited to see Nick Martin, man. I want to see if this guy can be that linebacker too. next to Fred Warner. You know, it's going to be a battle between him and D Winters. I want to really see if Nick Martin has what it takes to be that guy that's going to replace Dre Greenlaw. Because last year we had dog shit at linebacker next to Fred Warner. So I need to see it this year.
I don't want to copy you, but those would be my two as well. I think Nick Martin has potential to be great, and I think Guerendo has potential to be really great. But I'll add, since you went that direction, I'll add one more here, and I'll give my son an assist. I'll share the screen. By the way, we'll take that off for just a second. Let me share the screen. And I'll share Kev's tweet on another guy that I really am impressed by. I did a video on him this week, and I did a deep dive, watched a lot of his film, and he's really, really. This is one of the most underrated additions by any team in the offseason, and that's the Niners adding Jason Pinnock. Listen to these numbers. Interesting stat on Jason Pinnock. Pinnock rushed the passer 18 times in 2024, and he wound up in 18 pass rushes with 7 pressures, 3 sacks, and a 92.3 PFF pass rush grade, first among all safeties. In fact, he was the top-graded pass rushing safety according to PFF over Kyle Hamilton, over Brian Branch, over Antoine Winfield, over Derwin James. This guy is a terrific athlete. He had a 98 relative athletic score. Really good, really smart football player, converted corner. He thinks that he's going to be able to translate some of the PBUs that he's had the last couple of years in the Giants defense into interceptions in Robert Saleh's defense. He said that he came to the Niners because he'd been in like 4 different systems over the last 4 years. Where he really came of age was under Wink Martindale a couple years ago as a pass rusher, and he carried that over last year. And I think Saleh is going to utilize him up on the line of scrimmage, kind of the way the Vikings used Josh Metellus, who's listed here as well. So I'm really fired up. Obviously the Malik Mustafa and Jair Brown injuries are a bummer, but I'm really fired up to see Pinnock, and I think Pinnock and Grant are going to be pretty good at safety.
They gotta hope they are, because you're right. Mustafa and Jair Brown injuries, it's going to open the door for those guys. So they really, really, really need to step up, and they got talent. They've been in the league for a little bit. So one more guy I want to add on there, actually 2 more guys.
Yeah.
I'll go one offense, one defense. Offense, Dominic Pooney, year 2. I want to see him build upon last year's. I'm excited to see what he looks like year 2. Guy's fantastic rookie. He was a great, great signing for us in the draft last year. What a gem. And then the guy that they brought in, to help us out, Bryce Huff. I'm excited to see what he looks like, man. We need another dog out there, and if he can play like D Ford was on this line and stay healthy and be a healthy type like D Ford type guy on this line, I mean, that's gonna be dangerous. That's why I think Salah brought him in, and
that's a big one. That's a big one. He's had one big year, but it was under Robert Saleh.
Yeah,
and if he could replicate that big year, I mean, the Niners need it. The Niners need it. If they get a replication of his best year, the Niners could be really good. 2 last ones, and we'll bolt. Big Brick 84 says JJ's clutch, loved by the team, and set for a bigger role. 5 years, $13 million a year with incentives. Trade BA for a solid swing offensive tackle that can take over when Trent Williams retires. 5-year deal.
5 years is crazy. No. Holy shit.
No 5 years. No 5 years. Can't do it. I hear you, but that's way too long. That's 3 years too long for sure. We got this one. Ben Affleck's double chin. Larry, who'd you rather take, Kyle Trask or Will Levis? Will Levis.
Mayo boy?
Not Kyle Trask.
Oh my God, neither.
Will Levis has a bigger arm. Will Levis I don't think's great either. I don't like either. I would take neither, but Will Levis over Kyle Trask for sure. All right, that's going to do it for us. Raj, I'll give you the final word. What do you think? JJ going to be a Niner this year? Or is JJ going to be somebody else somewhere else this year? I'm going to say he's going to be somewhere else, man. I know the warm and fuzzies are like, hey, you know what? He doesn't, he just wants a little bit more, and they love him and he loves them. But you know what? They didn't say they were going to be ruthless to not be ruthless. And this is a guy they can be ruthless with, because I think they've got young receivers that they think are going to step up. The Niners with JJ we're 32nd, dead last in separation among wide receivers. So you got to factor that in. They want to separate, get more separation. I think they're going to move on. I think they're going to find a trade partner and move on.
Wow, that's bold. That's bold. I'm going to disagree with you, Larry. I'm going to say that it's going to be a warm and fuzzy end to this situation. They're going to sign him. They're going to give him the extension. They're going to give him his money. They're going to cave in. And then John Lynch is going to address the media and say, JJ's a dog. You can't replace that kind of guy. You can't replace a dog. Oh, we got our guy. The wide receiver is going to be, everybody's going to be hyped up. People are going to be, and everybody's going to be saying 49ers Super Bowl or bust. That's what they're going to do. They're going to hype everybody up. They're going to give him his contract, and they're going to give him they're going to sing his praises, which they should. I love Jauan Jennings, but I already can see it. Jauan Jennings or John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. Oh, he's a dog, man. We got our guy. We got to pay that, man. They'll get it done. 2-year extension.
I don't see ruthless in that, but we'll see. We'll see. A lot of Niner fans are really happy to hear that because there's a lot of Niner fans that love Jauan Jennings. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles for sponsoring tonight's show. Thanks to Claw Daddy Arcades, who's a great follow on Instagram at Claw_Daddy_Arcades. To find a location near you, they got a location opening in Capitola Mall, another one opening in Visalia Mall later on this year. There are links in the description for all of our sponsors. Thanks to all of our sponsors for supporting the Krug Show. If you're watching us live on YouTube, once again, do us a favor, smash the like button. I probably don't say it enough, but hit like and subscribe. Please hit like and subscribe. If you just hit like, everybody, more people find the shows. If you hit subscribe and click that notification bell, anytime Raj and I go live, you'll get a little ta-ding, little notification. And remember, once the stream wraps, you can catch the full replay anywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever your favorite platform is. Just search The Krug Show, and you'll find us. So thanks to all of you. I'm back tomorrow on the radio from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. with Greg Silver. So catch me tomorrow on the radio. And training camp is here. There'll be media availability next week. I'll be down in Santa Clara for every bit of it, providing you. And this, believe it or not, I think you should always subscribe to my channel. But if there's ever a time that you want to subscribe to my channel, it's right now. Why? Because I'm going to be front and center at all these practices. There's a ton of unknown about so many of these football players. And, I feel like I know what I'm watching. So hopefully I'll see it clearly. I'll be able to describe it clearly for you guys. And but we'll put out reports. We'll do out, lots of videos, lots of reports, recaps of every day, streaming in the evening, a lot of afternoons in the sunshine. But we're going to do it every single day of camp. We will be there grinding the grind. No days off. No days off. Anyway, he's Raj. I'm Larry. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Krug Show. Raj, you're the best. We'll talk to you next Tuesday. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube. For Raj, I'm Larry. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of.